The Allied victory at Guadalcanal in February 1943 marked a critical turning point in the Pacific War. However, the defeat of Japanese forces on the island was only the beginning of a prolonged struggle for control of the Solomon Islands. The Central Solomons Campaign, which unfolded from mid-1943 to early 1944, became the next phase in the Allies' push to neutralize Japanese strongholds and pave the way for an eventual invasion of the Japanese home islands. Strategic context. Guadalcanal's fall disrupted Japan's southern defensive perimeter and provided the Allies with a critical airfield, Henderson Field, from which to project power. To maintain their momentum, the Allies adopted a strategy of island hopping, targeting strategically important islands while bypassing heavily fortified Japanese positions. The Central Solomons, including New Georgia, Kolombangara, and Bougainville, became the focus of the strategy. These islands provided staging areas for Japanese air and naval operations, and their capture was essential for securing Allied advances toward Rabaul, a major Japanese base. The New Georgia Campaign. The campaign began in June 1943 with the invasion of New Georgia, the largest island in the Central Solomons. Allied forces, primarily American troops, faced fierce resistance from well-entrenched Japanese defenders who utilized dense jungles and fortified positions to their advantage. The battle for New Georgia was characterized by grueling conditions, including oppressive heat, disease, and supply difficulties. After weeks of intense fighting, the Allies captured Munda Airfield in August 1943, giving them a new base for air operations. The Battle of Kolombangara. While the Allies advanced on land, naval engagements played a critical role in the Central Solomons Campaign. The Battle of Kolombangara in July 1943 highlighted the intense naval clashes in the region. A Japanese task force, attempting to reinforce their troops on Kolombangara, engaged Allied ships in a nighttime battle. Although the Japanese achieved a tactical victory by sinking the cruiser USS Gwin, their losses in ships and experienced sailors were unsustainable. The Allied tactic of targeting Japanese transport ships, known as the Tokyo Express, began to isolate Japanese garrisons, cutting off supplies and reinforcements. Bougainville. Breaking the perimeter. The campaign's climax came with the invasion of Bougainville in November 1943. The island was critical for its proximity to Rabaul and its potential as a base for air operations. Allied forces, led by the U.S. Marines and later reinforced by the U.S. Army and Australian troops, landed on Bougainville's western coast. Instead of attacking the well-fortified Japanese positions directly, the Allies established a perimeter and constructed airfields. This strategy effectively neutralized the Japanese forces on the island without the need for costly frontal assaults. The Japanese launched counterattacks in an attempt to dislodge the Allies, but suffered heavy casualties. By early 1944, Bougainville was firmly under Allied control, and its airfields were used to launch strikes against Rabaul and other Japanese installations. Consequences of the Central Solomons Campaign. The Central Solomons Campaign was a decisive step in the Allied advance through the Pacific. It 1. Secured Allied air superiority. The capture of airfields on New Georgia and Bougainville allowed the Allies to dominate the skies over the Solomons and beyond. 2. Isolated Rabaul. By neutralizing surrounding islands, the Allies rendered the heavily fortified Japanese base at Rabaul ineffective, bypassing it rather than attacking directly. 3. Depleted Japanese resources. The campaign further drained Japanese manpower and resources, weakening their ability to resist subsequent Allied offensives. Legacy. The Central Solomons Campaign demonstrated the effectiveness of the Allies' island-hopping strategy and their ability to adapt to the harsh conditions of jungle warfare. It also underscored the importance of air and naval power in the Pacific theater. With the Solomons secured, the Allies turned their attention to the Gilbert and Marshall Islands, pushing ever closer to Japan's inner defenses and setting the stage for the final phases of the Pacific War.